Hi everyone. So today I want to talk about how I think that we are as a species, as human beings, we're a little bit fucked actually, to put it mildly. In our modern world, which I bang on about a lot, but there's a good reason for it. We're kind of been we've got these ways of thinking. This information has been downloaded into our heads at a very early age that we don't even think to question. And so for me, the first time or the time when I realised that this was the case was with food, right? So the dietary advice that we're given in the UK, that's the Eat Well guide, and it's basically lots of whole grains, cut out red meat as much as possible, reduce it, cut out saturated fat, replace it with seed oils, plenty of salad and fruit and vegetables, and we kind of never question it. So when we are starting to struggle with our health, or if we are struggling with our health, we don't question that very often. We typically just try to be better at being more strict with it. And so just a bit of backstory on me and how I ended up kind of figuring out that maybe that isn't right. So I had chronic fatigue syndrome and I was really struggling. I really wasn't enjoying life at all. And all I was doing, I was trying to work out more and I was trying to eat better, and it wasn't helping. I was still getting worse. And then I'd heard about the low carb and keto diets, where you obviously cut out all carbohydrates, but also you cut out all of the seed oils, and so essentially I started eating a lot more red meat, which was a big no no, or I believed was a big no no. A lot of saturated fat, obviously, because fat comes with that. Lots of butter, eggs. Think about cholesterol. Um, all these things that, in theory, in my mind, I thought were bad, but as it turns out, and not. And how I got to that was I was at my wit's end. I would do anything to just try and resolve my chronic fatigue, because, as I say, I wasn't enjoying life at all. And so I heard about the keto and low carb diet, thought I'd try it. And within a week to 2 weeks, my anxiety went, my depression went. I woke up and looked forward to the day for the first time. All of my brain fog lifted, my memory started coming back, all of these symptoms that I had. And then there were some other ones that I didn't even, I just accepted as being a thing. So I had really bad acid reflux. It was something I had since I was a kid. Just accepted that was part of my life now. Vanished, disappeared. I was starting to put on a bit of weight. I could never actually say that I was, at the point of being obese, but I was definitely putting on a bit of stomach fat. You could start to see my stomach protruding through my tops, whatever top I was wearing, around the back. I was developing love handles, and it didn't really matter how much I worked out or how little I ate, that they were developing. That just disappeared, and I wasn't restricting the amount of food that I was eating, and I don't now. I was eating until I was satiated, until I was full, and it was just still falling off. In actual fact, I lost probably a bit too much weight. People started asking questions, which I personally think is my body detoxing. I think my body was like, right, you give me the good stuff now. I'm going to get rid of all this bad stuff, which is essentially seed oils and vegetable oils and things like that. So what happened then was I got really confused, because I'm now eating all these foods that we know are bad for us. Lots of red meat. I was eating lots of cheese, lots of cream, lots of eggs, all the things that we've been told are bad for us. I was really confused, but at the same time, I was elated that I was enjoying life again, because I honestly was starting to believe that it would never happen. And so I went through this period of just being like, well, even if I do end up dying of heart disease because of all this food that I'm eating, at least I die happy. But then, something still didn't click with me. I was still kind of thinking, well, why am I feeling so amazing on this food that's supposed to be so bad for us? And then it just sort of clicked, because I think, like, it's so logical when you think about it. Yet even when I was living it, I still didn't put two and two together for a while. I think it took a few weeks, maybe even months, before it clicked that, hang on a minute, like whole grains wouldn't have been a big thing in our diet many years ago, you know, because they are highly processed, and it's only down to our the industrial revolution, machines and things like that that can provide all of these grain-based foods. Same with seed oils. Seed oils are not natural at all. They make them sound natural. They sound like vegetable oils, and seed oils sound like a natural, healthy thing, but actually they're massively processed. You take sunflower seed and try and squeeze it, you ain't getting no oil out of that. Whereas if you take an olive or an avocado and you squeeze it, you can imagine, you're going to get some oil out of it. So they have to put seeds through a massive process to extract the oil out, which is done via chemicals. It then smells horrible, it looks horrible, so they have to reodorize it, recolor it to make it look like something that we would recognize as edible. And in terms of like saturated fat, like red meat and things like that, if we were hunted animals, we would. I very much doubt that we would have hunted an animal and gone, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna dodge that fat there." The fat made it taste good. The fat made you feel full up. You didn't know where your next meal was coming from. You would have eaten fat. Um, and all of a sudden, I just started. Like, I went from being confused to seeing clearly what we as humans should be eating, and then getting angry because then I was thinking, well, why are we being told this misinformation? Because that's what it is. It's misinformation. Why is this the case? And then I start seeing lots of other people that are struggling with their health, and I'm thinking to myself, if they just change their diet, then maybe they would be okay. They would start enjoying life more. Those challenges that they're trying to face every day with their health, with weight and things like that, could be simply solved with just seeing the truth and then ignoring the information. Because the problem is like there's two factors to this. Not only is it that you know eating or not eating foods that we're told we should eat, like grains and seed oils, but then you also have to eat things that we're told we shouldn't eat. So there's two factors to it. So some people can kind of go, oh yeah, I can kind of understand. Yeah, okay, don't eat seed oils, so you're reducing your fat. That makes sense. That's what we're told. Grains, yeah, like I've kind of heard that gluten's not good. But then when you say, yeah, but you should eat lots of red meat and lots of butter and fat, that's where people disconnect. When I have conversations anyway, that's where people tend to disconnect and can't get their heads around it because it's just so far away from what we've been led to believe. But what I want to encourage is people, like, we've got our own brains, and it doesn't take, once you think about it logically, and just put yourself, change the context. This world we live in today is crazy. It's not normal for humans. Change that context. Take yourself out of today's scenario and put yourself into a scenario where we were wild humans. What would we have eaten? And it's not just food, it could be anything. How would we have lived? How would we have slept? How would we have been in communities? Our interaction. We would have been very kind of tribal, and we would have been very community based. We're pack animals. And the crazy thing is that today there are more humans on this planet than ever before, yet we're more isolated generally than ever before. We're not. We've lost touch of community and family and things like that. And I'm like that. A lot of the time I prefer to be in my own company a lot of the time, but it's not actually natural. And I kind of, when I do force myself into being, into family things and even friends and things like that, I see the benefit of it afterwards. So what I want to do is encourage people to use their own intuition, their own logic, and try just question things, especially if things aren't working for you. One of the big things for me and the people that I want to try and reach, and I want to see my message, is when you get to your middle ages and you might have been perfectly healthy up to that point and you don't change anything, you still eat the same, still exercise the same, and then all of a sudden things start changing, you get aches, pains, weight gain, things start, the wheels start falling off, and you don't know why. And then the thing is, it's become so normalised that we've now got, we now say things like, "Oh, age just caught up with me," or it's just because I'm getting old. Well, no, we're not designed. Humans are not designed to be like that. We're designed to be healthy into our elder years. It's just the fact that the fuel that we're putting into our bodies is not in alignment with what our human bodies need. So it does bloody well, to be honest with you, to keep you healthy up to that time. But at some point, it kind of goes, yeah, I can't do this anymore, and it struggles. It really struggles. Um, and they're the people that I just want to be able to go, right, come on, let's use a bit of logic here. Even if you just try eating like a wild human, like just think about how would a hunter gatherer, how would they have eaten, what would have been available? Because even like a lot of people go, oh yeah, lots of fruits and vegetables. I've got nothing against fruit and vegetables, and I eat them myself. But we wouldn't have had the wide array of options that we have in supermarkets that are available to us today. Again, it's amazing that we've got these options, but we just wouldn't have had it. And I personally, when I think about put myself in that situation, I don't think we would have eaten the rainbow. I don't think we would have eaten as much fruit and vegetables. It would have only been seasonal as well. That's the other thing. We wouldn't have had all these fruit and vegetables all year round. So I think that I don't want to sort of dictate what people should and shouldn't eat. I don't want to be that person that goes, this is the diet that you need to follow, because I just think there's too much of that. I think that us as humans, we can figure it out for ourselves. And that's really what I want to encourage people to do. It's just a simple question. How would humans have lived before this crazy world of today? And you can pretty much answer that yourself. And you would know roughly, if you think that it's going to be more plant-based foods, then fine, give that a try, see how you get on. If you think it's more animal-based foods, fine, give it a try, see how you get on. And if it's somewhere in between, again, give it a try and tweak from there. But the one thing I can assure you is that either way, you're going to be eating foods that are more in alignment with what the human body needs and what we've eaten before this crazy world, right? And trust me, like it seems too good to be true, but I've witnessed it and I've felt it. It is better than any drug that you can get prescribed. It, as I say, within a week to 2 weeks, my brain just woke up. It was incredible. Um, but the problem that I'm finding is that I can tell people this, and I have done, and they just, I don't know, it's like we're in a trance, man. It's like we're hypnotized or something. I can tell people this, and they can kind of go, "Yeah, I see the logic of it," but I can also see in their eyes that they're like, "Yeah, I ain't doing that. I am not doing that." And that's the trouble that I think that us as, like, when I say we're fucked, that's where I think we're fucked, because I think we've been wired to believe a certain thing so much that even when logic is put in front of you to say that perhaps otherwise, we still can't, because it's like, one of the things is like, if you go and, if you've got a problem, say you've got, I don't know, type 2 diabetes you've developed, or you've got pre-diabetes, and your doctor's like, right, okay, this is a diet that essentially diabetes is you've got, you're struggling with your blood sugar levels, right? So your blood sugar levels are all over the place, and they're higher too much. There's too much, like the body needs to regulate that very tightly, because things start going very much wrong. You can go blind, you can, get ulcers in your legs, and it's like, it's really bad. And so, logic again would tell you that if whatever gets turned into glucose in your blood, if you stopped eating those foods, which essentially are carbohydrates, all carbohydrates, whether it's a piece of chocolate or whether it's porridge, is going to get turned into glucose at some point. Some are quicker than others because there's more of a process to do so, but it still happens. Well, guess what? If you cut out all carbohydrates, well, the body doesn't have to deal with that anymore. And there are so many cases of people putting their type 2 diabetes into remission. But the problem is that what I've seen with people is when I first sort of discovered this, and people say, "Oh yeah, I've just been told I've got pre-diabetes, I've got type 2 diabetes," and I'm like, "Dude, you got to try this." And they're just like, "Yeah, but you're saying I've got to eat like red meat and butter and eggs, and what will my doctor say?" It doesn't matter what your doctor says. Like, just give it a try. Like, I'll explain it, and they'll say, "Yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I can really understand that." But what would my doctor say? Like, screw your doctor. Like, at the end of the day, like, do just test it out, see how you get on. Even if you do it for a week or 2 weeks, see how you get on. Problem is that unfortunately the medical industry are caught up in old information. Like, you don't see cholesterol so much as before. It was like a big thing, wasn't it? That we got to avoid cholesterol in eggs and things like that. And it's not. It's not now, because the problem is, or where the narrative has broken down, is that if we don't eat cholesterol, our body will make it, which is a weird thing as well. Imagine that. Imagine Mother Nature creating a mechanism within the body to create something that is like deathly to us. Doesn't make any sense. Again, makes me really question the whole cholesterol is bad thing. And that was the problem, is that you could reduce your cholesterol intake, but it doesn't matter, your body will make it anyway. So then it was about saturated fat. So that's where the narrative then changed to. So now it's more about, oh, you've got to reduce your saturated fat to reduce your risk of heart disease and all this. Well, you know what? I don't know. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. It doesn't seem to make logical sense to me. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just trying to encourage people to question these things and not take them on face value, and to question any preconception that we've got in our heads. And just yeah, ask questions, man. Just ask questions, because for me, it's changed my life. It really has. And I really want to. That's why I'm doing this, because I really want to change other people's lives. I really, I honestly, like, I can't even explain the darkness that I was in, the depth of despair that I was in, and I was at the point of thinking that my whole life was going to change for the worse, because I was somehow managing to carry on with work. I was still progressing in work, in fact, but I knew that at some point my brain was going to start failing me, and I wouldn't be able to maintain what I was doing in work, in family, in everything really. And I just thought it was a matter of time. There were a number of times actually I was in the office, and I would just feel like my head was going to explode. I would just sit there at my desk, and I remember thinking, "This is it. I'm going to have a breakdown." I didn't know. I thought that there was something, some outburst, something was going to happen, and I didn't know what it would look like. I mean, how it never happened. I think I got very close to that line of like having some kind of a mental breakdown, but just in the nick of time, I somehow figured it out, and it's amazing. And now I want to help people that are kind of in a similar situation, that are really struggling, at their wits' end, and have almost given up hope. And I just want to say, just remember that this world we live in today is nothing like humans have lived before. And as amazing as this life we live in now is, we've got safe homes, we've got technology, we've got electricity. Think of silly little things that we take for granted. Like, we didn't have light until recently. With Google AI now, it's incredible. It really is. Like phones, what you're watching me on now, it's incredible. But it's not normal. It is not normal, and we need to realise that. And we need to question everything. Like, if when it comes down to foods, technology, light plays a massive role in our health. Just question it, please. Like, I don't want to tell you what to do, other than just question the situation that you're in. And unfortunately, the reason why we're fucked as humans is because we don't even know there's a problem. We don't even know. This is all we know. And I think it's only getting worse. The newer generations that are coming through, this is all they know. at least like I can sort of say, oh well, my great grandparents they lived in a much simpler time, and I can kind of imagine that. Well, the great grandparents of the younger generations, this is all they know. So this, it's old traditions are being lost, forgotten, and that's the problem. Like, how do we like the biggest question that I think, and the biggest problem that humanity has got, is how do we embrace this modern world while still remembering our roots? Because I think we need our roots for basic health, not even like optimizing health. It's not about optimizing health, it is about basic foundational health. And that's what I promote, is we need to refuel and recharge in line with our roots before this modern world, to just have foundational health, but a health that every human is entitled to, and is unfortunately being taken away by this modern world. So that's what I want to try and get to, and try and help anyone. Like, even if this only helps one person, it's going to be worth it, right? But hopefully, I'd like to be able to help more than one person. Just yeah, just do that. Just question everything, and try and think about a time before today, before this crazy world, and try and just think about what we would have done then, and test it out. See if it helps. See if your health improves. See if it's not just about body health, it's about mind health as well, because it's all interrelated. If your body is unhealthy, well, guess what? Your brain is going to be unhealthy too. They're not disconnected, and our medical industry is looks at them as separate things, unfortunately, but they are very much interconnected. So if your body is healthy, it turns out, or it goes hand in hand, that your brain will also be healthy. So I'll leave you with that. Just change the context, change, put yourself in a situation of before this crazy world, and ask yourself, how would we have lived? What would we have eaten? How would we have slept? How would we have been in community? What sort of light exposure would we have had? And try and see if you can get some alignment to that, and just see how you feel, because I think that is the magic pill, better than any drug, pharmaceutical, or anything like that you can get. So yeah, I wish you luck, and yeah, let me know. Let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear any stories, either good or bad. Just reach out. Just reach out. I've got a website as well if you want to check out. Loads of information on there. jimajackson.com. Just pop along, read some articles, and yeah, again, give me some comments on those. Reach out. There's a contact page there. Happy to talk. Yeah. Good luck. Good luck.